Our story for this week, June 20th, is called David Meets Goliath, and it's found on page 112 in the Storybook Bible. Have you ever been told that you couldn't do something because you weren't big enough or old enough? People didn't think David could do much because he was just a young shepherd. But David showed them that you don't have to be a grown-up to do something really big. When Saul was king over God's people, they were fighting the Philistines. One of the Philistines, Goliath, was as tall as a house. He wore bronze armor all over his body. Goliath stood in front of Saul's army and yelled at God's people, "Send out someone to fight me." Saul and God's people were scared. Goliath was frightening. For 40 days, Goliath stood in front of Saul's army, but no one would fight him. Then one day, David left his sheep to take food to his brothers. They were in Saul's army. When he got there, he saw Goliath. David asked, "Why won't anyone fight him?" This made his brothers angry. They thought he just came to watch a battle. What did I do wrong this time?" David asked. It was just a question. David knew that the soldiers were afraid of Goliath, so he found King Saul. "King Saul, don't worry, I will fight this man." But Saul said, "You are just a young man. You cannot fight that big man who is an experienced warrior." But Saul forgot that shepherds fight lions and bears to keep their sheep safe. David trusted in God, and God kept him safe when he guarded his sheep. He was sure that God would keep him safe now. David picked up 5 stones for a slingshot. When David walked out, Goliath laughed. He wanted to fight a man, not a boy. But David knew that he could win because God was with him. David said, "You come to fight me with sword and spear, but God is with me. I will defeat you." David put a stone in his slingshot. He slung it and hit Goliath so hard that he fell flat on his face. Then David picked up Goliath's sword. When the Philistines saw this, they ran away. Because David knew God was with him, he did a big thing and won the battle for all of God's people. And our questions for this week are, Goliath was a very big man with a loud voice. What do you think it sounded like when Goliath yelled at God's people? Which part of this story will you remember? Try making a picture with torn paper, crayons, or markers to show that part of the story. David was brave because he trusted that God was with him. When can you be brave because you know God will help you? Have a great week.